Hey guys, how you doing? Ron Raymond here from the Raymond Report with your sports betting podcast for week number 2 of the CFL, the Canadian Football League. Hope you're having yourself a good start to your day. As always, don't forget to subscribe to our channel by tapping that notification bell in the top right-hand corner or hit the subscribe button below this video if you are using a mobile device. All right, CFL week number 1 is in the books, and we saw some really good games last week. In fact, when you look at the final scores, you had Hamilton coming out of the gates quickly, taking that 6-0 lead, and then losing 19-6 against the Grey Cup champions, Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And then you had BC taking on Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan with a really hot start in the first half, but only mustered like 4 points in the second half. Hung on for the win, 33-29. You had some weird situation at the beginning of the game where Nathan Rourke came in, the rookie, and then Michael Riley came in and then was able to go. It's obviously there's something wrong with his arm, and we'll see what's going to happen this week. And then you had Toronto against Calgary, a little bit of an upset right there, where the Boatmen looked pretty good in Calgary, and we'll see if Calgary, what type of team they're going to be this year. And I got a feeling Calgary is going to be overhyped in the first 4 weeks of the season. And then the Ottawa Red Blacks didn't, they scored less than 100 points on yard on offense throwing the ball. In fact, when I look at their stats last weekend, they only averaged 71 yards passing, and they only rushed for 56 yards. But defense is the name of the game in week number 1, as the Red Blacks got the win over the Edmonton Eskimos. Eskimos did not look good. They had a lot of yards on passing, and of the 4 games, you can see 3 of the 4 games finished by 4 points or less. The only blowout was that Winnipeg and Hamilton game, and if you want to call a 13-point blowout in the CFL, I wouldn't. But let's take a look at the numbers, inside the numbers, in week number 2 going to the CFL. And in week number 1, 75% of the underdogs won, and that's the bookmaker having the edge here over the betting public, because nobody knew what to expect in week 1, right? We all knew there'd be rust. Defense are always ahead of the offense, and as you can see, straight up factor, 75% of the teams won straight up last week. So that's 3-1 favoring the underdogs. In fact, you thought the favorites would do well, but no, it's the underdogs winning 3 games and the favorites only winning 1. And the same thing would cover in the spread. The underdogs won 3 of 1. And, if you picked the dogs straight up last week, well, obviously you got them to win straight up as well. Now, looking at the over-under record for the week, the under took the day, and that's no surprise. We all knew there'd be rust, and that's why you didn't see a lot of 50s. I don't think any of the totals were in the 50s. And same thing this week. I don't know if there's any 50s. I know it's 48, 49, but we're going to break down the games and see if we can find an edge here for you. All right, folks, if you're interested in a Raymond Report CFL system, you can get them each and every day right here at ATSStats.com. And if you want my 5-star best bet, be a member right here of the website. I will have my upset special and my over-under play of the week. And it's all here at ATSStats.com. All right, let's go to game number 1 between the BC Lions and the Calgary Stampeders. Now, last week in this game for the BC Lions, we all know Nathan Rourke started the game. That's because Mike Riley had a something issue with his arm. Had trouble all week throwing the ball downfield. But looking at the numbers, they did pretty good on offense. They averaged 431 yards. Time possession was kind of even. They averaged 11.9 yards on first down possession, so that's very good, and especially in the Canadian Football League. The one thing in the CFL is you got to be productive on first down. If you can get 10 yards or positive yards on first down and give yourself second and easy, then you're going to be in a good spot. And the other good thing too in the CFL is anytime a team, an offense, can throw for 300 yards and rush for 100, it's pretty much in the bag that they should win that game. Now, looking at the rushing last week for the BC Lions, they only rushed for 34 yards, but they passed for over 397 yards, and that's just not going to cut it going down the stretch here into week number 2 and week 3 and so on. You're going to have to find a way to run the football, take some pressure off your quarterback, especially off the offensive line. And looking at their punting, 45.2% on average, and completion rate was 64.3. So throwing the ball was not the problem for the BC Lions last week. It was basically, maybe when you look back at that game between BC and the Saskatchewan, I believe that was Saskatchewan, right? I just want to make sure I'm on the right path. Yeah, Saskatchewan, 33-29. I think what threw off the BC Lions was sending the rookie quarterback in, and then everybody had to make adjustment. The BC defense really, I don't know what was wrong with them in the first half, but they made their proper adjustments at halftime, and sure enough, even though they lost the game, they gained a lot of respect, and they gained a lot of respect from the betting public, who had BC +7 last week. And I wouldn't say it wasn't an easy cover, but if you watched that game, you thought you probably ripped your ticket off at halftime thinking it was over, right? For the Calgary Stampeders, now they're coming off a loss to the Toronto Argonauts. Argos look pretty good, I'm not going to lie. It seems like they got a lot of heart in that team, and looking at the stats for Toronto last week, against Calgary. Calgary on offense wasn't that bad. They threw over 252 yards. They rushed for 101. So going into that game, you thought Bo Lively Mitchell, being a veteran, would have the advantage. But no, sure enough, it was the running game that really gave Calgary the edge, rushing for 101 yards. Toronto did very well. In fact, when I look at the stats here for McLeod Bethel Thompson, 354 yards. And did a very good job leading the boatmen. In fact, he was 70.3% completion rate last week. And you know what? If you can complete 70% of your passes, just ask Bill Walsh, the former coach of the San Francisco 49ers. That was the one thing that he always looked for in a quarterback: accuracy, right? And looking at the overall yardage on rushing for the Toronto Argonauts, only 56 yards. So they're going to have to find a way to run the ball. And going into this week's game, John White carried only 28 yards last game, but they're going to have their hands full this weekend against the defending champions Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But back to this game between the BC Lions and the Calgary Stampeders. Now, Calgary, 65.7% of the pass completion, 46.2% punting the football. Penalties really hurt them. They had 9 penalties for 79 yards. And going into week number 1 here against the BC Lions, -6.5 is the number. The over-under is set at 48.5. ATS forecast, computer pick, gonna lean with the Calgary Stampeders, 26.8 to 20.6. The over-under at 47.5. So we do have it a hair under the total. Now, going into this game, to me, it's all about Mike Riley. If Mike Riley's playing this game and you're getting a quarterback of the stature of Mike Riley at +6.5 on the road, how can you not like the BC Lions, right? But they don't have a lot of history playing well in Calgary. They're 2-8 in their last 10, 5-5 against the number. And looking at some of the other issues down here, the other numbers for the against the point spread, not a lot of number. In fact, look at this one here. In the month of August, BC has done well on the road since 1996. They are 33-13 against the point spread when they're playing in the month of August. So they do like the month of August. And looking at some of the other numbers here, nothing really to write home about here when it comes to the point spread. But keep in mind, it is week number 2, and when the BC Lions are coming off a road loss as an underdog since 1996, 7-15-1 to the under. So not a bad number right there. And when they're coming off a 4-point loss since 96, 1-7-2 to the under. So you can see I got a lot of numbers pointing towards under the total. Now, looking at Calgary is going to go into this game, I think, a bit overvalued here. 6.5 seems like a lot, even though they lost last week by 3 points to the Toronto Argonauts. You're facing a Toronto team that really nobody knew what to really expect, right? I thought the McLeod Bethel Thompson played exceptionally well on offense. He had a lot of confidence, and the defense held their own. In fact, Bo Levi Mitchell didn't have a lot of success against that Argo defense. Now, going into this game, I do have a system trend pointing towards the BC Lions. And before I get to that, just take a look at the Calgary Stampeder numbers that I have here. You can see I don't have a lot of positive numbers here. The last 3 years, Calgary as a home favorite, 7-14 against the number. Now, here's something I want to show you. So any underdog in week number 2, and they're coming off a game where they lost as an underdog, so coming off a road underdog loss, 16-8 against the point spread in their next game. So not a bad number right there if you do like the BC Lions. But again, for me, this play is going to have to be that Michael O'Reilly play. So keep an eye out on the injury report on the CFL website. All right, let's go to game number 2. And we're going to take a look here at a game between the Toronto Argonauts and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Now, Winnipeg gave up that early touchdown last week to Winnipeg. And that's all, to Hamilton. And that's all Hamilton got the rest of the way. They started off that first drive looking really good. And then the Winnipeg defense flexed their muscles on defense. And they showed why they are the defending champions of the Grey Cup, even though they didn't play last year. But a lot of injuries this week. It looks like there's no Jeffersons playing. Harris is not going to be at the running back position. So I think Toronto's going to be a lucky situational spot here going into Winnipeg. Going to catch Winnipeg with, some of their main weapons on offense and defense out. Winnipeg in the first game had 149 yards rushing. In fact, when I look at their numbers for the Brady Oliveira, rushed for 126 yards. And Nick Dembski caught 70 yards, and Zach Collaros passed for 217 yards and 64.3% completion percentage. But the kicking game, the punting game was an issue. 41.4, one of the league worst last week. In fact, I think it might have been the worst. When I look at the other, it was. So they're going to have to really fix the punting. I know they got Ryan there, but the punting game, you need the punting game in the CFL. So this way you can, you don't want to give a short field to your opposition. You'd make them rather go 60, 70, 80 yards for a drive. You don't want to give them half a field, right? Now, the bookmakers have made Winnipeg a 6-point favorite. The over-under in this game is at 47.5. ATS forecast, computer pick, going with an upset, taking the Toronto Argonauts 25.1 to 24.5. The over-under set at 49.6. And I do like the Argonauts again this weekend. I think getting +6 going, it's going to be tough now. They're coming off a win in Calgary, and then they got to go to Winnipeg, face the defending champions, and Michael O'Shea, former Toronto Argonauts in his days when he played, one of the great middle linebackers in the league when he did play. And so let me see here. Toronto, some of the numbers, 23-20 last week. And just going to take the last time they played in Winnipeg, it was a 48-21 victory for the Blue Bombers. But Toronto did have their revenge last time, August 1st, 2019, 28-27. But you know what? That was almost 2 years ago, right? So it's amazing what 1 year will do. And we saw the sloppiness last week, right? So we do have some numbers here pointing towards the Argonauts from a point spread point of view. And if you do like the under, we do have a lot of numbers pointing towards the under for the Toronto Argonauts. In fact, the last 3 seasons when they're on the road against a non-division opponent, 4-7 to the under. And just taking a look at some of the other numbers during week 1 to week 4 since 1996, 17-31-1 towards the under. Now the Winnipeg Blue Bombers going into this game, scoring only 19 points in their last contest. And looking at some of their numbers, they've done very well. They have one of the best home records the last couple of seasons. In fact, they're 12-4 against the number as a home favorite the last 3 seasons. But I really like Toronto in this spot here tonight or on Friday night. It'll be your Friday night game of the week, and I do have a nice system here. Let me see here. Where is it? There it is. Any away underdog, and the total is 46.5 to 49. And the team's coming off a road underdog win. The away underdog, 10-5, 66%, only 3-12 straight up. So we're not asking them to win the game straight up, but just cover the spread. So I do have a nice system on the Toronto Argonauts. And again, you want to play on a road underdog. I just lost it right there. When the total's 49.5 and they're coming off a road win as an underdog, you saw the record, 12-3 straight up in their next game. All right, and the total in this game here is what, 49, I believe? 47.5. Wow, low total. I'm not going to touch the total, but I do like the Argonauts getting +6.5. All right, let's go to that game between the Edmonton Eskimos and the Montreal, not Canadians, but the Montreal Alouettes, and not the see. I'm already doing the Edmonton Elks. It's going to be old habits die hard, right? So Edmonton, the Eskimos changed their name to the Edmonton Elks, and now they're a 3.5-point favorite. Now, I'm not seeing the total on this game. I believe the total, I'm going to have to there it is, 49. So the total is 49. ATS forecast, computer pick, going to go with an Elks victory, 24.6 to 20.8. The over-under here set at 45.5. And Montreal coming off a bye last week, so they didn't play. So we really don't know what they're going to be about. But we do know they have Vernon Adams Jr. at quarterback, former Oregon Duck. William Stanback at at running back, so they have a good running backfield, and so it's going to be interesting to see how they do this game. Crary Jones done a fantastic job reviving the Alouette franchise the last couple of years, or last year as a rookie head coach. But going into this one, I'm really not sure what I'm going to, here's the thing. You got a team like Edmonton who did not look very good against an Ottawa Red Blacks team who are offensively challenged. In fact, when I showed you the stats earlier, Ottawa only had, let me see here, 71 yards passing and 56 yards on the ground rushing. And then you're going to play Montreal with Standback at William Standback at running back, who's one of their power backs. Looks a little bit like Michael Pringle back in the day. And Edmonton, they did very well on offense. In fact, they had over 443 yards on offense, 333 passing yards, 75% percentage completion percentage, 45.5 punting the ball. But the thing that killed Edmonton last week was turnovers, right? They had three interceptions, and that really led to, in the CFL, you can't be marching the ball and kicking field goals. You got to score touchdowns. But going into this game, I'm going to lean here. I do have a small lean with the, let me see here. Where's my stats here? Thought I had the... All right, so when you got a home favorite coming off a 4 to 7 point loss, and the total's 46.5 to 49, you can see the home favorite is 16-9. But look at this, 21-4 straight up. Now I'm gonna, it's only week 2, and I'm not gonna start pressing the panic button, even though Edmonton did not look good last week. But that's what the bookmaker wants you to think, right? They want you to look at last week and see that Edmonton had a lot of trouble against a team like Ottawa. In fact, they lost against a team like Ottawa. So who's the betting public's going to be? They're going to be on Montreal this week. But I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to agree with the computer pick, and I'm going to take the Edmonton Elks 24-20 against the Montreal Alouettes. Now that they got that one game under their belt. And, Montreal does have film on Edmonton now because the Elks played last week. But looking at Montreal's record in Edmonton, only 4-6 in their last 10. They've done very well. I think the total, though, maybe the total is where you want to go, and over the total is 8-2 in the last 10 visit for Montreal when they go to Edmonton. But I'm going to take the Edmonton Elks here, minus 3.5. I think you can get some threes out there, but I do like Edmonton. I'm going to go with the more experienced quarterback in Trevor Harris and getting 3 points here. We're getting 3.5. So give me, if this goes to 3, take the money line. If this ever goes to 3, take a look at the money line, what it's at. If it's anywhere like 180, in fact, let me take a look at some of my outs right now. So this way I got the, just bring it up, and I'll bring up the other game while I'm waiting. In fact, let me take a look here. And let me see here, CFL. And I'm going to take a look at this game right here. So the money line on, minus 186. You know what? You'd lay it in baseball. Why wouldn't you do it in football, right? So give me Edmonton minus 186, and that's a pretty solid stat. Any home favorite coming off a 4 to 7 point loss, and the total is between 46.5 to 49, and the total is at exactly 49. 21-4 straight up. So give me Edmonton straight up this week against Montreal. All right, let's go to the next game here on deck. We're going to take a look here of the Hamilton Tigercats taking on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Now, Saskatchewan coming off that win against the BC Lions. In fact, they didn't look good in the second half. They only mustered up 4 points in the second half. And when I'm looking at the stats in this game for last week for Cody Fajardo, former UNLV running back or quarterback, 230 yards passing. Jeremiah Masoli, 242. He had a great first quarter, first series, but then after that, the offense went missing in action. In fact, when you look at BC Hamilton last week, only 297 yards on total offense, 55 yards rushing, 242 yards passing. But here's the part that concerns me the most: 58.5 pass completion for Jeremiah Masoli. But going into this week, maybe, hey, you got to give credit to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, right? They're a strong team on defense, and that's probably a tough draw to get right out of the gate. Is the defending champion, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and now Saskatchewan. Now the thing with Saskatchewan going into this game, looking at their yardage last week, 230 yards only of passing, 75 yards rushing, 80% completion percentage, which is really impressive. But 230 yards in the CFL. Minimum, you want to be at least 300 yards passing, right? So you got two teams with almost the exact same story of last week. You got Hamilton, started really to look good in their first drive, but then just the Winnipeg Blue Bombers made their adjustments, and Hamilton were never able to click on offense. But, again, week one, right, out of a COVID season, and you didn't play in 2020. And then you got Saskatchewan, who started on fire against the BC Lions, and then really pooped a bed in the second half. The BC Lions defensively made some great adjustments, and Saskatchewan nearly lost that game. Now, going to this game, 1.5 point favorite here from the bookmakers. The over-under is set at 48. ATS forecast, computer pick, going to lean with the Roughriders here, 25.3 to 22.7. The over-under is set at 48.1. And taking a look at some of the stats, for Hamilton, 2-8 in their last 10 in Saskatchewan, straight up and against the number. Not really impressive numbers. The under looks really good for both these teams. In fact, in the last 10 head-to-head meetings between the Roughriders and the Tigercats, 80% of those games went under the total. And the last time they played was August 1st, 2019. It was a 24-19 victory for Saskatchewan. And when was the last time they won a game here in Saskatchewan? It's been a while. In fact, I don't see it here in the last 7 games. I'd have to bring up my database to show you that. But taking a look at some of the numbers for Saskatchewan, really, since 1996 on 8 days rest, 10-3 against the number. But again, I know it's different teams and it's not, but it's always, when I do these stats and trends, it's about the perception of the line of the bookmakers, psychological thinking of the betting public, right? So 10-3 against the point spreads on 8 days rest since 1996. Again, I don't see a lot of great numbers here supporting the Hamilton Tigercats, and I don't see a lot of great numbers here for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but I do have this number right here. Any away underdogs in the CFL since 1996, coming off 11 to 13 point loss, and the totals between 46.5 to 49. The road team 13-5 against the spread. So I'm going to take a flyer with the more experienced quarterback in Masoli in this one, and I'm going to take Hamilton plus 1.5 and see how that pans out this weekend. Now, just to recap, we'll go through all the games again. Game number 1. Let me see here. We got BC against Calgary. I like the now here's the thing. I like BC only if Mike Riley starts, so check the latest on his status on that game. Toronto Winnipeg, I'm going to go with the Toronto Argonauts for week number 2. I do like the Edmonton Elks here in week 2 against Montreal, and I'm going to go with another underdog, Hamilton, against Saskatchewan in week number 2. And let's see if the Tigercats can rebound off that loss last week against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. All right, folks, there you have it. That is the CFL report, week number 2. Again, you can get my plays each and every day right here at atsstats.com. And if you've missed our live show, Major League Baseball, each morning you can watch on our YouTube channel. It'll either be live or it'll be taped, just like this show is taped here. And you can get it each and every day on our YouTube channel. Just go and type in the Raymond Report, and you will find my channel right there. All right, there you have it. That is a recap and wrap for week number 2 of the CFL. Hopefully it's a good one. As always, shop for value, play those percentages. I'll see you back shortly with another Raymond Report.